Hi there. I am going to paint a picture of my little kitty, Angel. And that's Angel right there. She's really not much of an angel. She has an attitude, but that's my little sweetheart. She's 10 years old. And I took her picture there you see on my phone this morning, and I'm going to paint her picture. So I hope that you will follow along with me. I'm going to put it in fast forward here in a little bit, showing you I'm just using a number 2 pencil and a kneaded eraser to do my sketch with. And I've got a piece of Arches watercolor paper there, cold pressed, 140 pound cold pressed 300 GSM. And I am going to start my sketch here, and enjoy. I hope you enjoy watching me do this, and I will talk to you as I go. Okay, Angel's pretty much sketched out there, and I'm going to work on the background a little bit. I'm wetting my paper and just getting it kind of wet all the way around and out to the corners. And I'm going to drop in, I believe this is cerulean blue that I'm going to drop in there, or maybe that's the peacock blue. I'm not sure which one it is. It might be the cerulean. And I'm blending it out. I want it a little bit darker in the corners, and I'm going to add some more things to it, some more colors along with it. I think I mixed a couple of things to make sort of a little bit of a teal cast to it. Then there's some, I think that's the permanent yellow light. And I'm just kind of sort of letting it do its own thing. There's a bloom up there in the top right hand side, and that was fine. I didn't mind that at all. Just kind of making a little bit of a background around Angel. And I didn't do anything with the bottom part of it yet. I'm going to bring that in a little bit later. I added some more yellow, and then this is a light wash of sort of a buff color. Angel is kind of colored really funny. She looks gray when you first look at her, but when you look at her more closely, she has an awful lot of sort of this buff colored tan, and her whole belly underneath is all this light color. So I'm starting off with kind of a wash of that, just sort of all over the place. And then I make it a little bit lighter, and I am actually putting that out in the background on the bottom of the painting, kind of blending it in there right where the yellow meets. And I'm sorry I'm a little bit out of shot doing that, but that's basically all I did. And then I'm adding a little bit more concentrated of that color. All through there. And it looks like I worked on her eyes a little bit and just used my fine liner brush to get the shape of her eyes there. And I'm going to work on her ears. And I made a really pale pink because her ears are a very, very, very pale pink on the inside. You can barely see the color in them. And that's why this wash for her ears is so light. I did put a little bit of that buff color on her face too. And now I'm starting to add in some gray because, like I said, when you look at her, she seems like she is a gray kitty, and she's predominantly gray when you look at her. If anybody would see her from a distance, they would say, oh, that's a gray kitty, but underneath she's got a lot of that tan. But I'm putting the gray, and then she's got white on her face, of course, and on her chest. Her big fluffy mane is white mostly. She has a sweet little face, just a tiny. She was a very, very, very tiny kitten. She could sit in my coffee cup. That's how little she was when I first got her. She was going to be, shall we say, weeded out of the farmer's barn because he felt that she was too small to do him any good as a mouser. And there were a lot of other kitties in the barn, so she was about to go. And I saw her picture that my friend sent me, and I could not resist her, of course, so she's been with me ever since. And here, just doing a little bit more detail on her little face, putting the gray in, and trying to get some more definition, more detail in her. I keep wanting to say feathers, so if feathers comes out, please forgive me, because obviously Angel doesn't have feathers. She may someday when she's a real angel, but not right now. When my friend came across her, my friend is a photographer, and she was doing a photo of a sitting with a family at this barn, and that's where she ran across Angel, and she snapped her picture and sent it to me. And of course I had to have her. I didn't realize I had left so much of this fiddling around here. Sorry about that. She has the tiniest little squeak. It's not a meow, although she is very capable of meowing. She can definitely meow if she is of the mind to, but she most of the time communicates to me with this little squeaking noise. it's like she almost doesn't want to put forth the effort to meow, so she squeaks. um, yeah, she's definitely one of a kind. Definitely one of a kind. I'm putting a little bit of pink there on her nose. I think I end up deepening that color somewhat a little bit later on. And more fur on her little face there. I'm about to attempt, my brother would love for me to paint a picture of his new Australian Shepherd puppy, and she's adorable, so I'm hoping that I can do her justice, and I'll probably maybe make a video or at least show you when I'm through with painting little Josie. And putting a little bit of detail in her ears there. There's a darker spot there, trying to get in some darker values there. Just adding some more gray. Getting a bit of contrast in there. Because she's really definitely not just one solid color. And there you can see there where I added more. I'm going to work on her eyes a little bit now. I'm using I think my tiny little number 2 brush, my King Art, my new brushes that I got. I really like them, and this little number 2 is pretty sure that's the number 2, and I think I might have gotten a little bit too much water in there. I was mopping that up just a little bit. And that's just ivory black I'm using in her eyes. And I find sometimes I was working there on her eyes quite a bit, and you know, sometimes I think if you just stop for a minute and move somewhere else, like I stopped and went back up to her ears, I think that it helps me anyway. Then when I come back to her eyes, it makes it easier to see, you know, what I want to add or whatever. And I think I used a little tiny bit of white, just white watercolor inside her ear there. I do use some white ink, and I think that's right there. Mine is the Liquitex, I believe. Permanent white ink. I'll have to put it in caption for you, or put it in the description below. And now I'm putting the color in her eyes. And her eyes are the prettiest shade of green. I mixed the color here for her eyes, and I got it pretty close to the color her eyes are. You really can't see the green as well there. It's kind of washed out with the lights. And there's just some little dots for where her whiskers are going to go. I used the white ink to put the whiskers in. There, I got a little bit more darker values on her face, and that is her little ring that holds her bell. She was so tiny when we first brought her home that we were afraid we were going to step on her. So we put a bell on her because I've never had a cat that wore a bell before. And she has, you know, of course, you know, when she stopped growing, she grew into her last collar with the bell on it, and she has worn a bell her entire life. And now if you take her bell off for any reason, to, you know, wash it or fix it or repair it or whatever, she does not like not having her bell on. She really doesn't. Just kind of a part of her now. That is yellow ochre, I believe I'm using on the bell. I didn't want to go with anything like shiny. And her bell is a little worse for wear, so it's not really shiny anymore anyway. This tiny little bit of blue I'm adding here is her collar that's peeking through all of her hair. It's kind of that teal blue color. Just a little piece of it shows. And I will put a picture at the end of this for you, so you can see the actual final piece, because I do some tweaking. Here I am with the ink, adding some white and some highlights and this and that, and you know, you let it sit for a day or two and you go back and do this or do that. So I have I have the final piece as a picture at the end. Here I'm going to show it to you up close, though, a little bit, where I was at right at that point in time. And I didn't really change it much, but I will definitely put a photograph at the end so you can see how she turned out. And so there you have, that's my little angel.